we've talked about how Vivek Ramaswamy, the Republican presidential candidate, is really good at being bad. I guess he's really good at specifically avoiding answering questions, avoiding answering for his dishonesty and for his hypocrisy in interviews we've gone over. And he will get posed to him one of his own quotes, and somehow he filibusters his way out of actually answering for it, or he outright denies a quote that is his, or says that's not accurate, or whatever. And he's done a good job of not getting nailed down, and it's aggravating because hosts don't push him hard enough. Now I have for you the opposite of that. Mehdi Hasan took him to task and showed us how it's done in interviews with really, it feels weird to use this term because of the following term, but skilled, dishonest people who are good at the bad, like I said previously. And Mehdi Hasan did not let him squirm out of answering the question. It was great to see. So it's in relation to specifically Vivek Ramaswamy in the past, after January 6th, condemned what Trump did and called it specifically abhorrent and called Trump a threat to democracy. And now, very different tune coming from Ramaswamy. And now he wants to win over MAGA. And so he really doesn't want to make clear that was his stance. And he always brings it back to, no, but also I said that censorship by the left caused January 6th. And you'll see that all play out here. Great job by Mehdi Hasan.
You say he behaved in downright abhorrent behavior that makes him a danger to democracy. What was it that was downright? Tell me what he did that was downright abhorrent.
Let's actually be really fair to your audience. So on January 10th, 2021, thereabouts, days after that incident, I wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal arguing that censorship was the real cause of what happened on January 6th. When asked in response, somebody asked me the question, are you... That's what I wrote. I'm giving you the facts of what I said. That's a hard fact. That was published in the Wall Street Journal. When pressed on, was that condoning what Trump did? My answer was no. There's a difference between a bad judgment and a crime.
And
we
you're
need
avoiding
to be
my
able
question.
to tell the difference in this country.
What did Donald Trump do,
no, I'm not avoiding
in your
question.
view, that was downright abhorrent? Second time
I think that the thing that I...
So let's stop there. He's going to keep going, and it just is one of my favorite moments on TV in a while. What normally happens is the host goes, you said this about Trump, abhorrent, danger to democracy. Why are you kind of shifting off of that? And Vivek Ramaswamy will go, okay, listen, let's be fair to your audience. Something completely different. And censorship caused January 6th, but I'm not condemning Trump. That's a very different statement. I'm not condemning Trump, but censorship caused January 6th, than abhorrent, danger to democracy. Two different things. And he does want to get to the talking point of a bad judgment's different than criminal behavior, obviously. But there he's trying to dishonestly defend Trump's potential criminality. And normally you'll see hosts just go, okay, next question. What you said on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and just let that slide. And so then a lot of viewers just, all right, well, absorb what he said and then move on. And Mehdi Hasan doesn't do that.
I would have done differently if I were in his shoes.
That's not what I asked, Vivek,
I would have
respect.
declared re-election on
That's
January
not what I asked, with
7th.
I'll ask it a third time.
That's exactly the thing I would have done.
What did Trump do that was egregious, quote, downright abhorrent, and a danger to democracy? Can you just explain to our viewers? Your words.
So you're mixing two different quotes. But what did I think was reprehensible about what happened that day? Look, I think that the way a true leader should have handled that situation should have been to actually say, this is me running for re-election, not actually litigating what is already passed and behind us. And I would have done things differently. That is not a crime, though, what he did. And the reason I have been so vehement...
You keep saying what you would have done. I just want to hear from your mouth. No, unless you're scared of him, why won't you say what he did that was downright abhorrent?
I'm not going to let you... You're stitching together three things from three different places
to create a
caricature. Do you want to have an actual conversation?
Yes, I want you to answer my question, Vivek. Three times I've asked it. What did Trump do that was downright abhorrent? It's a simple question. It's your words. It's on screen. What did he do that was downright abhorrent?
I believe that failing to unite this country falls short of what a true leader ought to do. That is why I'm in this race, is to do things differently than any prior president has done them. That's the hard truth, okay?
And that's what made him a sore loser and abhorrent.
The media,
yes, your words.
The reality is none of that is a crime. And the reason I have been so vocal, the reason I have been so vocal is because when somebody actually prosecutes somebody for a bad judgment, and I've been clear.
I understand.
But that wasn't the question. Whew, and we'll stop it there. Wow, that was incredible, especially maybe even if you haven't kept up with Vivek Ramaswamy previously, you would think, Mehdi Hasan maybe is going to full court press. But if you've seen his past interviews, you know he'll spin and spin and spin, and he'll wiggle his way out of all of these questions every single time. And he'll just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. So you can't ever get the answer for your audience, as is the job of a host and interviewer in a situation like this. And so I think Mehdi Hasan knew that. He's seen the pattern of Vivek Ramaswamy and thus was ready for it, and wasn't even going to give him the typical response time before jumping in and making sure he knew you're going to have to address this, or you're going to obviously be avoiding it for my audience. Because sometimes it seems clear someone's avoiding the question, but after they talk for a while, a lot of people can forget it and just start listening to what they're saying. But if you ask 3 times the same question, then the viewer is really trying to get a specific answer and notices more obviously that here Ramaswamy is avoiding the question. So then, without Mehdi Hasan even having to point this out, it's clear to everyone, and it makes people ponder, why is he avoiding so much? Why is he so afraid? And it's because he is violating what he said was a principle of his, what he stated as a view of his, being Trump threatened democracy, and Vivek was saying he was against that. And Trump trying to overthrow our democratic process, and then riling up and not intervening and not speaking out against fast enough the attack on the Capitol. All of that, it was abhorrent. Vivek knew that. He called it out. But now he prioritizes his own political advantage over our democracy, or at least speaking out against threats to our democracy. And that is what is really frightening about a lot of these Republican candidates and leaders, that so quickly they can flip. We've seen it with a lot of them. They can flip from being very aggressively willing to condemn Trump, rightfully so, the second they realize that's not beneficial for them, and now they don't want to answer for their past statements. And that shows even then it wasn't as strong of a principle as they wanted people to believe that it was, being standing for democracy, being caring about our Constitution, etc., etc. One more thing here from Mehdi Hasan. He reflected on that interview with Chris Hayes shortly afterwards.
Mehdi Hasan joins me now. You're I think the best interviewer in American media.
Oh, you're too kind, Chris.
At that kind of thing. You really are. You're phenomenal at it. What is the Vivek Ramaswamy method? What's been sort of amazing to me is, like, I feel like he's set some sort of Olympian record of glibness. Just like everything is just like, well, I would simply do this. This is so easy. It's like everything is easy. Everything's obvious. Like, and it's like, well, no, not everything's that obvious. What was your takeaway from going toe to toe with him?
The takeaway I had is that there are 2 big issues with Ramaswamy. One is, what is his qualification to be president of the United States?
Fair
and the other
question.
is, can we trust anything he says? And those were the 2 themes I stuck to. He was a little irked by that. He did the kind of, these are gotchas. Why can't we talk about substance? But my point is, why would I want to discuss the details of your peace plan for Ukraine before we first establish whether you should be president, right? Like, anyone can say, I've got a plan for Ukraine. You go on the internet right now, 100 people have opinions on Ukraine. The issue is, why this guy? What's he going to do about it? How can we trust him? And I think, what I tried to do, I asked him about, he used to criticize Trump. And now he doesn't, because he probably wants to be Trump's vice president. So I put that to him. And, the Soros stuff,
We'll stop it there for the sake of time, but I do think it's a great point, and he communicated it in a really good way there, of often the response from people, like even Mike Pence and definitely Vivek Ramaswamy and others, to question DeSantis for sure, to questions about Trump, about January 6th, and a few other things, is, come on, can't we talk about the real issues? Can't we talk about something other than the former president? Can't we talk about my policy on this, that, and the other thing? And often that's a compelling response, because a lot of people in the audience will think, oh yeah, there are a lot of issues. Why are they focusing on this one? But I think it would be perfectly great, and I want to see this more, if hosts would respond by saying, absolutely not, because right here we're establishing if you even have a basic respect for our Constitution. Then let's talk about policy until we're blue in the face. Wonderful. But if I can't even establish that you're willing to condemn an attempt to overthrow our democratic process and our government, then why would I care about your view on, like you said, Russian invasion of Ukraine or Social Security or your policy on lowering prescription drug costs or anything? Because those things all assume that we have a functioning democracy, that we can battle them out with it. But if you're okay with the threat to that democracy, then nuh-uh, we're not talking about anything else. And that's perfectly fine for hosts to establish that as their principle in interviews with these Republicans who are all over the place on what should be a basic question. Yes, I'm against attempting to subvert the will of the people, disenfranchise millions of voters, and overthrow our democracy. Seems pretty easy. But it wasn't, and it isn't for Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.